Hey, Big D here on the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page, recapping the first round of the 2023 NFL Draft. Before I tell you about the draft, if you like the stream, want to hear more streams or videos that I upload, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page. Also, check out the Big D podcast for all you audio listeners on Spotify and Apple. So, boy, last night's first round was wild, crazy, full of action, full of trades, full of unpredictability, and drama. Before I tell you about each individual pick, there are a couple storylines I take from last night. One, the quarterbacks came early, but not middle or late. There were three quarterbacks taking the top four picks. Bama's Bryce Young, Ohio State's C.J. Stroud, and Florida's Anthony Richardson. I mean, everybody knew the Panthers were going to take Bryce Young. I mean, once the Panthers made that move, wasn't a question of if Carolina would take Bryce Young. It's a question how long they wait. And obviously, Bryce Young is the best quarterback right now. The question is, how long will he last? But I mean, Carolina's sake, if he lasts 4 or 5 years, that might be all they need. Just a little to stabilize the position. But C.J. Stroud going to the Texans start off a shame because there were rumors the Texans were not going to take a quarterback in 2 and take Will Anderson. But then all of a sudden, when the Texans took C.J. Stroud, a lot of people thought Texans were done until they picked at 12. Well, then Houston moved back 3 because everybody knew the Arizona Cardinals did not want a top 3 pick. Cardinals wanted to move out of that spot and take Paris Johnson, the tackle from Ohio State. So Arizona was happy to move back, and Houston went up from 12 to 3 and took Bama's Will Anderson, the pass rusher. But doing so, did the Texans give up too much? I think they gave up second and third. They gave up like 3 picks, including one next year, which could end up being Caleb Williams or Drake May. So it was an expensive trade. And yes, a lot of people saying, well, the Texans got 2 good players. But C.J. Stroud's upside to me feels more like Jared Goff or Dak Prescott. Not that Jared Goff's a bad quarterback. I mean, he got those Super Bowl, and Dak Prescott can win playoff games. But neither guys, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert. And secondly, did the Houston Texans give up too much for Will Anderson? Potentially, but if you're but the Texans may think, you know what, we fired coaches the last 2 years. We can't get rid of DeMeco Ryans after 1 year. You played for all organizations. So the Texans may have thought, you know what, let's give our young coach a chance. Let's give him a consistent quarterback in C.J. Stroud and the best defensive player in this draft. And then at 4, there were questions, even with the Colts, whether they go with Kentucky's Will Levis or Florida's Anthony Richardson. Ended up taking Anthony Richardson. And after his combine, I bet you the Colts people thought, maybe we'll not let him leave Indianapolis. But, Shane Steichen could be the perfect coach for Richardson because he worked with Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts. As we saw with what Jalen Hurts became this year, maybe Steichen sees a little bit of Anthony Richardson, a little different quarterback. Hurts is about 6 feet tall. Richardson 6'4", 240, but can run 4.4, jump 40 inches, and throw the ball about 140 yards. I mean, that kid can throw the football. Now, true, only 13 starts at the University of Florida, but a ton of talent. If you saw the Utah tape, you saw the best of Anthony Richardson. But quarterbacks typically have more than 13 starts. I mean, even Pat Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Trevor Lawrence played at least 2, if not 3, sometimes even 4 years. Anthony Richardson played 1 year of college, started 1 year of college football. And how good will Richardson ever fulfill that talent? Because we saw with Zach Wilson where in the Jets where maybe he got on the field too early, wasn't able to handle, and the Jets don't have the patience. They ended up getting Aaron Rodgers this week, so it's interesting to me what will happen with Richardson, particularly in a division where the Jags have got a top 5, 6 quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. Houston just got C.J. Stroud, and Tennessee is interesting. One of the reasons why the Houston Texans may have thought about grabbing C.J. Stroud from themselves, there's a chance and a very real possibility that the Tennessee Titans would have taken C.J. Stroud themselves at 3. Tennessee was at 11 and could have moved for Stroud if he would have been available. So Houston may be thinking he's worthy of a top 5 pick, and we want him producing for us and not in Nashville. So Young went 1, Stroud went 2, and then Anthony Richardson went 4. Then the question was, where would Will Levis go? And Hendon Hooker go? And unfortunately for them, neither guy has been picked. Will Levis' 2021 tape looked really good, but his 2022 tape was not great. Kentucky's offense was a wreck. The Cats didn't have the same offensive coach, receivers, offensive line, and Will Levis himself wasn't healthy. And plus, if you've seen Will Levis, he looks like he should be on the world's strongest quarterback, not a professional football player. Will Levis looks like he should be a bodybuilder than a quarterback. I don't think quarterbacks should be jacked. Tom Brady wasn't overly muscular. Peyton Manning, Pat Mahomes, they've got to have pliability, flexibility. Yeah, it's great if you can throw the ball 90 yards, but quarterbacks with big arms have bombed in the NFL. Doug George, the Colts should have been a great quarterback, but he lacked the maturity of a top quarterback. Like Peyton Manning didn't have the greatest arm, but nobody could beat Peyton up here. So we'll see. Where Will Levis will be picked. I think he'll be early second round tonight. There are teams at the top second round. You look at a team like Tennessee, could take a chance. Took a chance on Malik Willis last year. I think the Titans could be in for Will Levis. Maybe Washington. I don't think Seattle will necessarily be up for grabs because they already have Drew Locks and Geno Smith, so I think Seattle feels set, at least now. So we'll see what happens. Hendon Hooker, obviously, this Tennessee offense could be a little funky translating in the NFL. Not the most mobile. He's not Anthony Richardson mobile, but a good pocket passer. Again, second round pick potentially tonight. because he may not be able to play early because of that torn ACL, but a guy look out late. So I will now go through the draft. First, how about the Philadelphia Eagles? I mean, they've gotten four Georgia Bulldogs the last 2 years. They took Jordan Davis and the Kobe Dean last year, and then last night they took Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle, and then Nolan Smith, the pass rusher. I mean, Kirby Smart and Howie Roseman just should go out to dinner before the draft because they keep drafting Georgia Bulldogs. And then everybody said this wasn't a great wide receiver draft. Well, the first one didn't come off the board until the Seahawks took Jackson Smith and Jigba at 20, and then four straight pick and wide receivers were taken off the board. Chargers took Quentin Johnson, the big TCU receiver at 21. The Ravens took Zay Flowers, quick speedster, vertical threat from Boston College at 22. And then the Vikings took Jordan Addison, the pair with Justin Jefferson at 23. So, and then Dalton Kincaid was the only tight end pick at 25 by the Buffalo Bills. Interesting, only one tight end chosen. But two running backs pick. The Falcons took Bijan Robinson at 8. Now the Desmond Ritters got Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson together with a really good offensive line. We're going to find out this year if Desmond Ritter is the future quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons. Because if he is, Falcons don't need to worry about the quarterback position. But if he can't play, the Falcons are going to be in the running for Caleb Williams or Drake May next year. And then, the Detroit Lions took Jahmyr Gibbs at 12, which may have surprised some people. But Gibbs twitchy, got a lot of people say Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey. And unlike a lot of Alabama running backs, Gibbs doesn't have a lot of wear and tear. I mean, we all remember when Eddie Lacy, even a Derrick Henry came in the NFL. Nick Saban loves his running back. So Jahmyr Gibbs could be really interesting. A lot of Alabama running backs outside Trent Richardson have done really well, been productive. So Jahmyr Gibbs can be and he's more than a running back. He can be a receiver coming out of the backfield. The Lions may need another receiver. Even we'll see what Detroit does with 3 second-round picks. So now I will break down the draft via division. So with the number 1 pick in the NFC South, let's start there. So the Panthers took Bryce Young. Simple. Best quarterback right now. Yeah, he's a little small, but Bryce Young will stabilize position. He'll give Frank Reich and the Panthers a leader, someone who can go out there and compete every Sunday. Question is how long will he last? If he lasts 10 years, the Carolina Panthers got the best quarterback in this draft. And then Atlanta, Bijan Robinson. I mean, no people saying, you shouldn't draft a running back that high. But Bijan Robinson's more than a running back. I mean, he can be a great receiver out of the backfield. This guy doesn't have any issue. I mean, if he would have been drafted 25 years ago, he might have been a top 3 pick. And you imagine an offense now with Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan Robinson. Good luck, NFC South. So then at 19, the Tampa Bay Bucks took Elijah Cansey, the big defensive tackle from Pitt. Obviously, this is a different Bucks draft because no Tom Brady. There were questions whether or not the Bucks took Will Evans. Can't see was a top 15, 20 pick, so right about the range where I thought he'd be picked. If you top balls, it gives him another weapon to throw. The Bucks defense wasn't the youngest, so they need some youth there. Intrigued what the Bucks do with Devin White. Did they move him? Levante David. I mean, that Buck defense is getting a little old. They need some young blood, so we'll see what Kansas City can do, especially with Villa there. And then at 29, the Saints took Brian Bresci, the defense tackle from Clemson. If you looked at him a couple years ago, he looked like a top 5, top 10 pick. He's dealt with some health issues, not really played at the same level. But if the Saints can get him back where he was a couple years ago, Bresci could be a steal at 29. The Saints have done really well taking and developing young guys. We saw what Chris Olave did last year. He's in a really good situation there. We got some veterans there. Saints need some youth on that defensive line with Cam Jordan, a couple of those guys getting up in age. So I really like that pick from the Saints at 29. So then you think, how about the NFC West? Obviously, the Rams didn't have a first-round pick because they traded that for Matthew Stafford a couple years ago. So the Cardinals traded back with the Houston Texans and moved forward to guarantee a Paris Johnson. I mean, Arizona might have one of, if not the worst roster in the NFL. The Cardinals need help everywhere. They need help at tackle, pass rush, everywhere. And Arizona really need. I mean, I think Kyler Murray will like that pick because the Cardinals needed more linemen. You can never have enough linemen, particularly with a 5'10" quarterback in Kyler. So we'll see what happens when Kyler Murray can play again. But Paris Johnson played guard a couple years ago, tackle in 2022. So he's got versatility. And Arizona might not be competing this year because Kyler may or may not play most, if not all, this year because of his ACL recovery. But at least for Arizona, they've got a tackle. I mean, we'll see what happens today, but the Cardinals guaranteed themselves a left tackle. By the way, the 49, I don't think the Niners have a pick until like third round because they traded a ton of picks for Trey Lance a couple years ago and then traded more picks for Christian McCaffrey. So the Seahawks were very busy last night. Took Devin Witherspoon, corner from Illinois, and then Jackson Smith and Chicago. I thought Christian Gonzalez was the best corner, but a lot of people like Devin Witherspoon, be a playmaker, man-to-man corner. It gives Pete Carroll a young corner. They drafted the corner from Washington last year, so the Seahawks have got two really good young corners. And then drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba. If you saw his 2022 Rose Bowl tape, you thought this guy's a top 5 wideout. Obviously, didn't play hardly at all this past year because of the hamstring. But in a less than great wide receiver draft, JSN feels like a steal at 20, and the Seahawks still have 2 second-round picks today, so Seattle could be very busy. Finding holes. They got a couple tackles, corner. Tyreek Woolen, thank you. Tyreek Woolen last year. So Seahawks are building themselves a really good roster. I don't know if it's San Francisco or Philly good, but we'll see. NFC North. About the Bears. They got the number one pick, traded that a whole bunch of picks, and traded back and got Darnell Wright. I mean, the Bears did pretty well getting that tackle last year, and it looks like they got Darnell Wright to play the right tackle position. Obviously, based on defensive coach and the Bears franchise, some people thought Chicago would have gone after defensive linemen, but this pick is about giving Justin Fields more protection. Maybe the most interesting team selection last night may have was from Detroit because when Bijan went Jahmyr Gibbs looked like the only potential first round running back, and maybe Detroit was going to take him at 18. Well, Detroit just took him at 12. And, excuse me. I mean, I already have DeAndre Swift and David Montgomery, but something tells me the Lions are going to use Gibbs more than just a receiver. They might have a running back. They may use him as a slot receiver, maybe a kick returner. But they've already got Amon-Ra St. Brown, but of course Jameson Williams suspended in the first 6 games. So this guy gives Detroit another toy. And also, Dan Campbell wants to be physical. And you can never end. This means the Lions want to run the ball, control the line of scrimmage, and have Jared Goff throw off play action. And then at 18, the Lions surprised more people by taking Jack Campbell. Now, Jack Campbell, it's funny. The Lions took Dan Campbell, wants physicality, wants guys who are ahead and run through tackles, or if you're on defense, tackle the other team. Where Jack Campbell will hit you. Now, I mean, middle first round probably surprised some. Felt more like a middle, late second round pick, but this isn't a great draft, and one team may like somebody at 20, another team may like him at 48. It only takes one, and Jack Campbell tested up pretty well. So, I mean, the Lions intrigued me going into this draft today with 3 second round picks. So we'll see what Detroit does, because the Lions feel like they're on the cusp of being division champs, and today's second round will be interesting for them. Green Bay, shocker. They didn't draft a tight end or receiver. They drafted Luke Van Ness, the pass rusher from Iowa. I mean, the Packers, for some reason, don't take pass catcher in the first round. They haven't dropped a receiver in the first round since 2000, Javon Walker in 2002. But something tells me the Packers are going to draft a tight end or B a wide receiver with both their second round picks. They need a tight end and a receiver. Drafted Christian Watson this round last year. There's still some really good tight ends available. So I think Green Bay will go offense today. And then Minnesota drafted Jordan Addison. If you saw Jordan Addison play 2 years ago, he looked like a great wide receiver. Battled injuries, but because he transferred from Pitt to Southern Cal, he can pick up an offense. So I think Addison will be just fine in the NFL. Really good route runner, and Justin Jefferson needs help there. He's not going to catch every pass. He might catch 500, but he won't catch every pass. NFC East. So the Commanders took Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback from Mississippi State. Need playmaker on the back end. Need somebody to take the ball from the other team. The Commanders have drafted a ton of D linemen, need some help in secondary, and I think Forbes can provide them with that. Speaking of DBs, the Giants moved up one spot to draft Deontay Banks, corner from Maryland. Again, speedster gives him some athleticism, length on the back end. And the Cowboys, I wonder if they really wanted Dalton Kincaid, but unfortunately the Bills got him one pick before Dallas. So Cowboys took Mozzie Smith, a big defensive tackle from Michigan. I don't know if Mossie's necessarily a great pass rusher, but a great run stuffer. And with this team, maybe that's all they need. And with Michael Paulson, the Cowboys defense causing havoc off the edges, have Mossy Smith stop teams, because that pick sounds like they want to stop Philly running the ball and San Francisco running the ball. And then, of course, the Eagles just keep drafting Georgia defensive players. I mean, the Eagles won the first round to me last night, and I mean, if Jalen Carter fulfills his potential, I mean, I think it could be Warren Sapp. And then Nolan Smith, yeah, pec injury, but it's not an ACL, not an Achilles. He'll be fine. He looked great at the combine. I mean, I thought he could have been gone at 10. And for the Eagles to get both those guys at 9 and 30 was incredible. I mean, how the Eagles get these guys every year is bonkers, right? AFC West, obviously the Broncos don't have I don't believe the Broncos have a pick until the third round. The Raiders drafted Tyree Wilson. Obviously, Las Vegas's defense was atrocious last year. It looked like the secondary was going to be a big need, but maybe they were in the Weatherspoon camp. So Vegas took Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech. Obviously, Max Crosby's there, but Chandler Jones really disappointed this year, so maybe the Raiders decide, you know what, let's get another young guy there with Max and make our secondary better by putting pressure on Mahomes, Herbert, and Russ. We're stopping the other two. We're stopping everybody else in the division. Speaking of Herbert, the Chargers took Quentin Johnson. I don't know what it is, but the Chargers always draft big wide receivers. I mean, the late Vincent Jackson, Vincent Floyd, Mike Williams, and now Quentin Johnson. Big receiver, big play receiver. May not be the best in that short intermediate package, but can make plays, and with Justin Herbert's on, look out. And then the Chiefs took, who did they took? Felix Ndamukong the pass rusher from Kansas State. Obviously, now Kansas City cut Frank Clark. Drafted the defensive end from Purdue last year, so George Loftus, 19 and a half sacks last couple of years. And the Chiefs did really well spending pieces on defense last year. And again, knowing they have Mahomes, the Chiefs are going to be in a lot of shootouts. Let's get a pass rusher to stop the other team from playing. Because remember those great Indianapolis Colts teams with Peyton Manning? How great Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis were rushing the quarterback. Well, Kansas City wants to have Kansas City's got a young defense, and having pass rush of both wings is key. AFC North. So Cleveland didn't have a first round pick because of the Deshaun Watson trade. So let's start with the Steelers. Steelers went into the draft in 17, moved up a couple spots, took Broderick Jones, tackle from Georgia. I really like that move because the Steelers offensive line has not been good. I mean, fans in Pittsburgh are wondering, when are we going to fix the bleeping offensive line? Well, spend some money in free agency and then draft this guy capable of playing left tackle. This guy, if you saw this guy play at Georgia, he can flat hit you. And I think he's more than athletic enough to play left tackle. And if you're Pittsburgh, they've got wide receivers. They've got a great young tight end, Najee Harris. Kenny Pickett was really, really good second half of the year. Saw him against the Raiders, against the Ravens. But the Steelers' offensive line needed help. Check. So now Pittsburgh's in a very good position. They made 2 second rounders, including the 32nd pick. So Pittsburgh could conceivably take the best player on its board, trade back for more picks, or potentially trade that pick for a veteran player. So we'll see what the Steelers do today. Then the Ravens. Obviously, big news out of Baltimore yesterday was the Ravens locking up Lamar Jackson to a massive 5-year, 200. Yeah, thank you, Lori, saying go Steelers. But the Ravens locking up Lamar 5 years, 260 million, 180 plus million guaranteed. So Lamar and the Ravens are together for another few seasons. And the reward, and to put more flowers on a great day in Baltimore, the Ravens took Zay Flowers from Boston College. Really explosive receiver. I mean, some people compared him with Steve Smith Sr. So the Ravens people probably definitely remember what Smith did, and Baltimore needed help in the wide receiver core. I mean, the wide receiver core was not great last year. Did sign Odell Beckham, Nelson Aguilar, but Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews need help. This guy brings some athleticism, twitch, and can really help that Baltimore offense because it's going to be a different offense. It's not going to be ground and pound. It'll be more throwing the ball. And then the Cincinnati Bengals took Myles Murphy. Last night. Obviously, Bengals have Sam Hubbard, Trey Henderson, and Joseph Asai. 18 sacks over the last couple of years. But I mean, is he ready to start now? Maybe not. I mean, Cincinnati's got a lot of depth there. Secondary seemed like a potential need, but for some reason, it seemed like every AFC playoff team was drafting offense, but the Bengals went and got defense. I wouldn't be surprised if this end of this year, early next year, the Bengals, if Murphy's capable of making big plays. I mean, both of these Clemson defense line were big time recruits. I don't think neither one quite lived up to a great potential, but maybe Cincinnati. I mean, Lou Lamoriello has done a great job with Cincinnati's defense. Maybe the Bengals can get the most out of this kid. AFC East. Obviously, Miami didn't have a first round pick. So the Jets. Boy, I bet you New York was bummed when all those linemen started coming off the board. Obviously, when the Jets moved back a couple spots, the question was whether one of the linemen would be there at 15. Well, the Corners took 1 at 6. The Corners took Paris Johnson at 6. The Bears took Darnell Wright at 10. Titans took Peter Skoronski at 11. And then Broderick Jones was the fourth lineman, and it looked like maybe the Jets could get him in 15, but then the Steelers got him in 14. The Jets ended up taking Will McDonald, pass rush from Iowa State, which may have seemed a bit odd. Yeah, he's got speed, he's got weave movement. Yeah, they've got another great pass rush. I mean, you wonder whether he gets on the field. They have Cole Wilson there. Jermaine Johnson was the first one from Florida State last year. I remember Robert Saleh came from San Francisco, where the 49ers built not just one defensive lineman or two, but like a rotation of 7, 8 defensive linemen. So maybe this Jets are going to build like a rotation of great defensive linemen. But the Jets need to get an offensive line for Aaron Rodgers, because if Aaron Rodgers doesn't have protection, he's not going to be the same quarterback. We saw last year where I think New York was like bottom half of the league in pass blocking rate. And if Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a good offensive line in front of him, eek. So the Jets still have a second round pick. They need to get a tackle in early. And then New England, they got Christian Gonzalez, a big playmaking corner from Oregon. I was so shocked. Gonzalez was there at 17. But, I mean, Bill Belichick needs big corners. The Patriots want to play man-to-man, and Christian Gonzalez is a man-to-man corner. This guy has got a ton of playmaking ability, ton of flame. I mean, be honest, I think Gonzalez has got a chance to be a steal in this draft. I mean, Devin Witherspoon was picked at 5, and Christian Gonzalez picked at 17. And I thought Gonzalez was better, but Gonzalez I was started out of Colorado, transferred to Oregon, big playmaking corner. When I can block kicks, do all kinds of stuff. And for New England, having these corners, especially in the division where Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle in Miami, Stephon Diggs is in Buffalo. The Jets have Garrett Wilson, Van Rodgers now under center. So New England needed help at corners. So Bill Belichick might not know how to develop wide receivers, but he can develop defensive backs. And then Buffalo took Dalton Kincaid, the pass catching tight end from Utah. I mean, when Buffalo moved from 27 to 25, I think everybody knew they were going for Dalton Kincaid because the Cowboys wanted him at 26. The Bills ended up trading, I think, 3 picks for this spot. He's a big time option. A lot of people compare him with, I think, Travis Kelce. I don't know if he's the best run blocker. He's not a Michael Mayer blocking, but he'd be a really good pass catcher. And it seemed like the Bills missed something in the middle of the field. I mean, Gabriel Davis was highly disappointing. Steph Diggs was Steph Diggs, but I mean, maybe the big question is will there be enough targets for him, but the Bills throw the ball a ton, and Kincaid's a tall, could be, with Josh Allen, it will be fun seeing what Dalton Kincaid does this year. And then the AFC South. Jags ended up moving back 3 spots, trade with the Giants and Bills took Anton Harrison, tackle from Oklahoma. It's funny, I think I was on my podcast on before the draft. I thought the Jags were going to take Anton Harrison. Well, guess what? They took Anton Harrison. Obviously, Cam Robinson suspension probably looming, so it may tackle a bigger need. So this guy can play left and right tackle, maybe a little guard. I mean, with Cam likely spending at least a couple games, if not several games, this Harrison might be the left tackle. Remember, Jawan Taylor's in Kansas City, so it could be Anton Harrison left tackle and Walker Little at right tackle. So Jags tackle is going to be quite young this year. And then Texans obviously drafted C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson. Colts drafted Anthony Richardson, and Tennessee drafted Peter Skoronski, lineman extraordinaire from Northwest. I mean, I think Skoronski, I don't know if he's a left tackle, but I think he could play guard, center, guard, and you don't have to worry about him for the next decade. Tennessee's offensive line was bad and needs help, so Skoronski helps Tennessee at 11. So, whew, that's quite a mouthful. I think I went through about every pick so far. Obviously, second and third rounds tonight. So, I hope Kansas City's got more barbecue because I think we're going to need it. So, thanks for tuning in to my first round recap. And hopefully the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh rounds provide every team with talent needed for a world championship. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.